Bro, Kareem Hunt was our leading wide receiver in that game. We had two missed touchdowns that were absolutely wide open, no turnovers, surprisingly, and a blocked field goal to win the game. Dude, how many different ways are we going to win this season, Garrett?
I don't know, but if it makes you feel better, he would have been their second leading receiver. So,
That's true. That's true. Dang, for them too, for the Broncos, Kareem would have been their second leading receiver.
yep,
Dang.
5 yards
And
behind
then
Sutton.
Garrett's 1-7 high school team is now 2 and
Week
0 in
three
the
in the playoffs,
playoffs.
baby. We love to see it. Week 3. Keep on pushing.
How much did you win by?
We won our last game 41-14.
Dude, how?
So, hey,
Hey,
the kid's got heart. What can we say?
this is Talkin Chop.
Yeah, I want to just talk about that for a second.
This guy is a
It
beast
seems like he just rubs butter on himself.
because he had 2 touchdowns, baby. Welcome back, watchers and listeners, to Life is Hard. Me and Garrett have had a very crazy week with lots of crazy schedules. Garrett has been coaching in the playoffs, and I just got back working camera for the basketball game for Texas, and schedules just have been really hard to align. So it is currently 10:30 p.m. Central Time on this Tuesday. I was going to say afternoon, but this is quite frankly when
Pretty much midnight. So,
this is where quality adults go to sleep, or responsible adults go to sleep. What we do is we talk chop.
yeah, we're
If you
grinding.
guys,
We're still on the
yeah,
grind.
if you love this show and love our grind and love our energy at 10:30, then give us a 5-star rating because guys, it helps so much. And also, our YouTube channel just hit 500 subscribers, which
Yeah,
is kind of
huge.
cool. I mean, I made a YouTube channel as a child and it only hit 430, and I was grinding on that for like 4 or 5 years. So wait, way longer than that, low key. So,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
it's just really awesome to see our community kind of explode like that. And I think some people would be like, oh, it's only 500. Hey, that's just the beginning. Okay, we're gonna keep bringing content to you guys and just keep talking shop, and we're just gonna keep bringing stuff to you guys. And man, it's really late, and we have a lot to talk about. So
yeah, we're going to try to make it a shorter episode, but I have a feeling it won't be as much shorter. But let's go right into it because obviously everyone wants to talk about the Broncos game, but let's get through the injury report quickly first. Juju Smith should be at practice this week according to Andy Reid. Like
you
he's
never
been
know.
he's been
Maybe
he's been so hard to gauge with that hamstring injury that keeps getting re-aggravated. And honestly, like I can't wait till he comes back, but I wouldn't want to rush him back. I would say he's doubtful to play this weekend. And then Pacheco and Charles Omenihu, oh my gosh, it's finally come. Charles
I
Omenihu is
know.
coming back. They are expected to be activated from IR this week. It was reported by Jordan Schultz. They haven't done it yet, but I mean, they're probably going to. I know they're not going to play this weekend. They're going to probably play next weekend, but oh my gosh, Garrett, the Pacheco Kareem Hunt backfield might already happen. I know I've already gotten tons of questions in fantasy related. They're like, oh, can we still start Kareem Hunt? Can we still do this? You could definitely start Kareem Hunt against the Bills, but like, man, I mean, who
Here's my
cares about
thing
fantasy?
on
It's time for
yeah
football.
on that situation. It's like you kind of have like two sides of the same coin, right? It's like obviously they're not going to play this week against the Bills. Do we really want to rush them back? Like obviously they have the 3 weeks that they can raise them up from IR. Do we
Mm.
really need to bring them back against the Panthers? I don't want to sleep on any team, but if they could have one more week of rest where we're just playing the Panthers and they can practice throughout the week, would that be more beneficial going into the rest of the week? Right? Because
On,
we don't have a bye week anymore. So any rest to any kind of player that we don't really need to rush into the fray just yet might be beneficial.
that's actually smart. And to that Panthers game, like I think I have a flight scheduled to Kansas City during that game, so like I'll be watching it. I'll be taking a little break watching it in the airplane.
Get the
We
airplane
should have
Wi-Fi, pay like the $30 or whatever, and just
well,
watch it on the way.
we'll have Pacheco and Amenahue rest that one out too. So I mean, hey, great news on the injury front. Good to see no new injuries, and good to see Najee Johnson coming back from his concussion. He got a sack in this game, Garrett, and he had like I think 5 tackles. So
hmm
he had a very much needed defensive back breakout performance when the DBs were struggling weeks before, and against quality receivers too. Because we're talking about this, but Trent McDuffie might have had his worst career game ever. So like, but
Yeah,
we'll talk
he
about
was
it
getting
later.
torched out there.
I mean, the Broncos had the recipe, but sometimes even when you have the recipe, Leo Chenal, John Cena's your freaking left protector,
God,
and
man.
Oh my gosh, it was a
They
masterclass.
were, I saw a lot of. It's like the NFL scriptwriters couldn't have had a better game, and obviously all jokes, but it was just a phenomenal play by Leo Chenal. I mean, we've seen countless videos about how throughout the game they were progressively getting more and closer to blocking a kick. Obviously, Dave Tube saw something on film and really took advantage of that situation. And we just right place, right time. Maybe the kick just took a little bit longer than usual, but we got out there and blocked it. So and
Yeah.
always a little bit of luck.
Shout out to, Jack Conklin and George Karlaftis too, because it was like the three of them that came through. Obviously, it was Chenal that like absolutely first off plowed that guy almost by himself, but he did have help with
Yeah.
Cochran and Karlaftis. Dude, the announcers and like the media and the interviews said Mike Dana did it. And I'm like, he wasn't even on the
He wasn't even
field.
on the field.
I don't know how you get Mike Dana confused with Jack Cochran, George Karlaftis, and Leo Chenal. But like, okay, broadcasters. I know
There's one thing of those three players that are very coincidentally the same, and Mike Dana is just the one that isn't that.
I mean, these things happen in broadcasts all the time. I think
and they're really far up there in Arrowhead, so
they saw 54, and I think the 4 was blurred, so they thought it was a 1. And they just have their sheet that they have their cheat sheet that basically tells them this number is this player. They don't actually know what these players look like. So, I mean, sorry to ruin the immersion, but they aren't as in depth to knowing
they
what
don't
every
know
player
ball.
looks like.
They don't know all ball. Okay.
They know lots of ball, but they don't. They have lots of.
I didn't enjoy the calling from was it Harlan, right?
Yeah, I mean he's a legend. I definitely
he made a lot of great calls. So
I made an edit because his call was so good. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, also too, it's just like the Chiefs won, and it's just like, dude, I was going crazy. That win, I didn't like. I was coming to grips with the fact I was like, this is a good game to lose. This is a wake up game. We talked how good the Broncos could be. We said they were going to be a potential like upsetter, and then you know what? They got it done.
9-0, baby, 9-0. And my buddy brought it up too at work, and it was just like we always seem to drop one of like random divisional games throughout the year, whether it was the Raiders last year on Christmas, and quite possibly could have been this Broncos team last Sunday. We just happened to pull through, and that I think that like those little miniature plays, those just minuscule like techniques, and just watching film, understanding who you can go up against, where you can be successful, is why we pull away these games. I understand, yes, you have a lot of luck and you can win a lot of games through that way, but you're not 9-0 and all of your games are close, right, nail biters, and you're just a bad team.
Yeah. And I mean, let's get right into this game. I mean, one of the glaring things that was something I was looking for all season, Kareem Hunt finally got used in the receiving game in this. And in fact, he got used in it so good that we talked about the cold open that he was leading the team in receiving yards. But I was like, why are we not using Kareem Hunt in the receiving game? Before this week, Garrett, he still had less receiving yards than Pacheco. I couldn't put him on my graphic that I do every week. And I mean, hey, let's go right into it right now. Might as well, or just show it. But like, here we got our top 10 receiving yards. I couldn't even put Kareem Hunt in the top 10 because before he had like 51, which was less than Pacheco. So now he's back to 116. He had a great game. Like, shout out. We finally used Kareem Hunt in that regard because Garrett, the Broncos shut us down in the run game.
And I mean, that was to be
abysmally.
expected. The Broncos defense is just phenomenal. I mean, they're probably top 3, probably floating around the same kind of defensive structure that we are. And we used him a lot in the pass game because he was getting stuffed in the run, right? I think he had, 25 or 35 rushing yards. It's one of those two. And he had 65 through the air. So another close to 100-yard total game for Kareem. But anything we did in the run game was just getting stuffed. I mean, we couldn't get anywhere.
It's honestly kind of fascinating too. And like, we didn't abandon the run either. Like 15 carries is no slouch for sure. And Hunt gets better as the game progresses. It will be nice to get Pacheco in there. Carson Steele was a good change of pace back, but like, man, the Broncos said, we're just going to commit to stopping the run. Now, granted, that left a lot of wide receivers open. Like, we probably could have put them, for better or for worse, Xavier Worthy was open many times, and Mahomes missed him on a crucial one. that was, out of bounds. I saw someone online say that it was a windy day and they think the wind ruined that pass. But I mean, you just look at the footwork and Mahomes wasn't even set. Like, but now Mahomes is a little scared again because his left tackle problem, his right tackle problem. Like he was running for his life back there, and it's like you can blame Mahomes, and I'm going to blame Mahomes for missing a lot of passes. But now he's back in his head again that I have no time to throw the ball. I have to throw off platform. I don't have time to set my feet because my O line is letting me get sacked damn near every play.
Yeah,
Like
and
you were talking, Nick Benito.
yeah, and it turns into a mental game at that point, and it's we can talk about those the missed wide open touchdowns, especially that one late in the game that could have possibly been what lost us the game. But
Was
the
not
guy
having
was
Kelsey.
the guy was under siege all game. I mean, that was one of the worst, at least exterior offensive line performances I've seen from this team in a long time, maybe even since that Buccaneers Super Bowl.
Ooh.
And it was just really hard to watch. I mean, Mahomes was just scrambling for his life back. He just had no time where he could just sit there and be comfortable. And the times he did, he was feeling it. He was looking around, getting a little shifty. Just, we need a new tackle really bad. And even if that means bringing in a guy that we've heard rumors that they might bring in Donovan Smith, who already knows the playbook, has been in the system before. As I said with D-Hop, he can't be worse than Wanya Morris.
Let's
Right.
talk about Donovan Smith. I mean, there's heavy rumors. Nate Taylor, one of the Chiefs insiders, says Donovan Smith is definitely someone they have on the phone ready if they need to. Wanya Morris got injured in this game, but he came back. He came back to play. Kingsley, Garrett, we got to talk about this because Kingsley got beat so hard by any speed rusher by just not getting kicked out far enough. Like Nick Benito, very, very good speed rusher, a player me and you both wanted to draft,
Yep.
one that you've been very big on. Nick Benito just absolutely had a field day because all he had to do was just run around Kingsley. Kingsley didn't even get a hand on him.
I mean, it's just he was too slow off of his steps, and I'm not sure if that's from coaching or just him not being able to center himself and just stay with the man. But it was really hard to. I mean, there was a clip from 2 years ago that I remember getting really upset about, and it was Orlando Brown Jr. false starting and still getting beat around the outside on a pass rush. There were some similar moments. I mean, we can all talk about how Jawan Taylor false starts every snap, right? And Wanya Morris and Kingsley kind of do the same thing, and they were still getting beat on the outside. So is it really an advantage to them if they're going to risk a penalty if they're still getting beat anyway? Right?
Now, the critique with Donovan Smith coming in has been his age, first off. He wasn't elite last year. In fact, he was not good, but he was very serviceable.
But he's
he
not
was
terrible. He's not terrible.
He was coming off an injury, too. Like, he was coming off of an injury, and now he's had a lot of time to rest and relapse, and, like, he's probably fine.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, we were getting hit by all their underrated pass rushers. The Broncos have a lot of players that nobody really knows the names of, but are really, really solid players. You have, Jonathan Cooper, who they just gave an extension to, Zach Allen, who they got from the Cardinals.
Demolishing us all night. Zach Allen was
Zach Allen
threat.
almost had an interception too. And Zach Allen also was super big in the run game too. I think Zach Allen's one of the higher PFF graded players right now too. Nick Benito, as we mentioned earlier, was just like Nick Benito probably had a bunch of pressures, but he had that one sack just running past Kingsley, and he got a hard shot on Mahomes. And I just hit my American flag on the side of my desk over here. And then you have John Franklin Myers from the Jets, who has been also a really underrated defensive tackle / defensive edge. They really have a good scheme too, Garrett. Like they have a bunch of like Chris Jones type players that can play on the edge and can play on the inside in Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers. And then you have your speed guys and Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito on the edge. Damn, they just destroyed us.
Yeah.
They should have won.
I mean, hey, you probably play that game 9 times out of 10. We probably lose 9 times out of 10, but that 1 in 10 chance, right?
You have that one to Worthy or that one to Kelsey, and it's a different game too. Like we could have blown that game open so many times, but
I see a lot of critique with like, if you bring in Donovan Smith, like we're still gonna have that other edge still as a liability.
Okay,
and
but Juwan has been okay.
He's been okay, and where that comes into scheme is when you have 2 really bad tackles. You can always send like a running back one side to help kind
Mm.
of like alleviate pressure from one edge. But if you have both edges consistently being overrun, there's not much you can do other than bring a fullback back there or keep like a wing offset tight end to help in pressure. But that also just takes away one route from our play, like for where we need to go. So having Donovan Smith back there, even if it's slightly better than Wanya Morris, is going to alleviate so much in our scheme that we need to have. And I just don't see another option other than finding someone that we have under practice squad, signing Donovan Smith, or signing a guy like Bakhtiari.
I
I
was
don't know.
thinking Bakhtiari too, but like, I mean, we talked about it earlier. He might not want to play for the Chiefs, but he might not have a
Yeah.
choice, or if he wants to play in for any team.
Do you
But
want money and do you want a ring? Like,
I
just
think
give
he
us a
has
shot,
one.
David. What can I say?
I think David has a ring with
But he can get
the
another one though.
Packers.
That'd be cool.
I feel like he had to have won with the Packers. I wonder if he was like he had to have been really young because that was a
Yeah,
long
that
time
was
ago.
really young.
So, but yeah, I mean, 2 rings is better than one, right? And we gotta get D Hop a ring. But speaking of D Hop, Kelsey and D Hop, Gary, you put it in the notes and they're putting it on the screen. They are really good for each other. Like
Mhm.
the two of them have both, I feel like, given themselves an extra 2 years in their career just playing alongside each
Well, I
other.
mean, it's just it forces them to play a completely different kind of coverage because well, before we had D Hop, I mean, it was just Kelsey getting beaten and doubled off the line. Linebacker would chip him straight off the line, and then he'd be covered by a corner. Now they can't double team both, right? Because that'll leave anyone else open. So it's just kind of a pick your own poison kind of front when it comes to defenses trying to cover our schemes now, right? Because you can cover D Hop, but that leaves Kelsey, the zone master, wide open. You can cover Kelsey, which leaves D Hop, the possession catch god, wide open. Or you cover both, and it leaves Xavier Worthy, the fastest man in the NFL, wide open down the seam, which is probably their best choice right now because Mahomes can't hit him for some reason. But it creates a lot of problems, and they are very complementary to each other. And I'm once again very happy with the trade.
You know what's kind of crazy that Mahomes has turned from a elite deep passer to honestly a very
Game
subpar
manager, baby.
dude. He's kind of a subpar like deep passer right now, and I think he's like kind of has to relearn it, which you
The
know.
first 3 years of Mahomes' great career so far. Every single time he threw downfield, I could look away like, oh, we're catching this thing. It's gonna be a catch. Now every time he throws deep, I'm like, all right, here we go. Come on, defense. It's just like he's missing them all the time. It doesn't matter who it is. He missed that deep wide open one to Justin Watson last week. Misses this one to Worthy this week. I don't know what's up with his game right now.
Yeah, well, and then you have, I mean, with D Hop, at least, like, dude, he was taking Surtain. I think Surtain might have followed D Hop the entire game, and they got in a little fight too. I saw on Twitter, but like that's a good thing to see. That finally we have a wide receiver that the defense respects to have a following corner on it, and I think it made our passing game a lot better today. And hey, Mahomes had no turnover mistakes, so that's always good. But yeah, we're going to circle back though, because we do have Statman Jackson. He's under the weather, but he's on the typing and he's been typing. David Bakhtiari, bum, doesn't have a ring because Aaron Rodgers won it before he got his best friend left tackle to come there.
So come get a ring.
So yeah.
Come get a ring.
Yeah.
I know you hate us, but come get a ring.
Yeah, come on, Bakhtiari. We're cheating. How about you come learn?
Come on the podcast. We can convince you to come play for the Chiefs.
Yeah, start using the Lane Johnson and Jawan Taylor drop step, and your career will be amazing. So, start false starting with us every play. Obviously, all jokes. We don't do that, but
No,
all
we
right.
false start every play, 100%.
Okay. Well, I mean, kind of. Well, let's go over some of the more. I mean, we've kind of been mixing in the good with the bad, but I mean, we talked about Kareem Hunt's rushing yards. We talked about missing wide open receivers. We talked about our tackles being terrible. Let's go more in depth with Trent McDuffie's worst game of his career. And that honestly leads into our next segment really well. But Garrett, he was getting owned by Cortland Sutton. And
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton dropped like 2 passes that he definitely shouldn't have dropped where he had beat McDuffie. And this is a Cortland Sutton that had 0 points against, I forget what team it was, but Jackson, please look this up. But Cortland Sutton had a game where he had no yards like very recently. It might have been like the Saints or Ravens or something. But like if they can hold him to 0, how did we not?
I mean, it's all about game, and some guys could just have an off game. I mean, we've been expecting McDuffie to be a lockdown corner forever, and you can't go a whole season with locking down
Oh
every
my
single
God, it
wide
was
receiver.
New
It was New
Orleans.
Orleans. Oh my God. But still, regardless, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's been one of our most consistent defenders throughout his career in Kansas City. Well, I'm not going to, throw bones at him after one bad game.
I'm just saying that it was more of a shock than anything. Like I was more surprised that he had a bad game. Like I still think he's elite. I just was like, huh, that's a peculiar game trend here. I wonder what the Broncos thought. Like apparently Sutton had an 122-yard game against the Ravens too. So I mean, he had a good game before.
Now, would
So
that have been against Marlon Humphrey, or is he still
I
injured?
think the Ravens secondary is completely injured though. Like they have nobody right now. So uh, you know, let's move on to our next segment. It appears that some NFL teams have found out a little weakness in the Chiefs defense, and there's 3 kind of steps to exposing the Chiefs defense. And these teams, the last 2 weeks, the Broncos and the Buccaneers with their depleted cores have kind of been the ones to figure it out. Obviously, all season, Garrett, tight ends have been a problem. We were the only team where Isaiah Likely went off, and Isaiah Likely was immediately tweeted as fantasy relevant.
Isaiah likely had fantasy managers scrambling to trade for this guy after the first week, and then he has done nothing at all. I had him on my taxi squad. I was happy. I was like, oh, I finally got a guy off the taxi squad. Played him in every. Hasn't done a thing since. Yeah, it's. But for some reason, against the Chiefs, big body tight end, big body wide receiver, they just become God. I don't know.
What I noticed is interesting is the Broncos came in and they had a game plan and they knew exactly how to exploit the Chiefs defense and they did it well. They have a wide range of wide receivers that have been getting minutes and playing time in this offense as Sean McVay tries to find the identity. For this game, though, he game planned it. It's going to be Cortland Sutton, it's going to be Vele, and it's going to be Lil Jordan Humphrey. All of those players are 6'4", or high or taller, with Vele being 6'5", and they're all over 200 pounds. They're basically tight ends that they're deploying at wide receiver. And also, their tight ends also had each a catch, and one of them was a 32-yard catch, I think, by Troutman. So, like,
Yeah.
they, for some reason, we are struggling to cover big-bodied pass catchers. So that's step 1. Step 2, if you can't develop a run game with your running back against the Chiefs, what do? End around with Sterling Shepard. Lots of screen passes and handoffs to Marvin Mims for the Broncos. Marvin Mims and Sterling Shepard, they were not being played in those situations until the Chiefs game. All of a sudden, you have Sterling Shepard doing these cool, quick end arounds that I wish that not even end rounds, they're just like jet sweeps. I wish we did this with Worthy, by the way, but we refuse to do that. We'd like to do orbit with Worthy, but that's a whole nother topic. And then Marvin Mims was just like lined up in the backfield so much for the Broncos. And if you can't run the ball with your running back straight up because of the Chiefs interior, find different ways to orchestrate a synthetic run game. And
Yep.
it helps. It helps manage the clock. It helps, knock off some yards so that you can make easier third down calls and decisions. And then finally, Garrett, I mean, it's the simplest one of all. Historically, horrible against mobile
Horrible.
quarterbacks. And this doesn't mean mobile quarterback just run for yards like Lamar Jackson did. It's like Baker Mayfield did scramble for a lot of yards, though, against us, too. Like, that was surprising. I was not expecting
We're
that.
just really bad at finishing sacks. Like,
Yeah.
we have to have the most missed sacks of all time. I feel like anytime we have a semi-mobile quarterback, they just all turn into, like, Lamar Jackson or, like, prime Deshaun Watson. They're just slipping out of these tackles, and I'm not sure how.
And listen, Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, and definitely Lamar Jackson are all slippery quarterbacks. So, like, Bo Nix didn't have any positive rushing yards in this game, but it felt like the Broncos made a conscious effort to move him in the pocket,
Yeah.
to not make him stay still, to make him have to do a lot of play action, a lot of motion, and just don't sit there and let Chris Jones sack you. Get as far away from Chris Jones as you can. That has been the goal. Essentially, the goal of all three of these items is get as far away from Chris Jones as possible. Yep. That seems to be the key to at least move the ball against the Chiefs defense. But in the end, we still
won and only let up 14 points. So did they really find out how to beat the Chiefs, or was the offense just sputtering and we kept it close?
Well, because I think it's more commendable what the Buccaneers were able to do, because the Buccaneers had no wide receivers and they moved the ball with ease, and they almost had the first 28-point game against us. So, I mean, but hey, shout out to both Sean Payton. Sorry, it's very tired time. Shout out to Sean Payton and shout out to Bowles of the Buccaneers, because hey, if we start to see this,
and shout out to That's Good Sports.
Oh my God, yes. To Brandon Perna.
Dude, Perna.
I love Brandon Perna. I've always watched his content. So to see his reaction, I love his series called New. And
then New Squared 30 or whatever.
And I love how in it, like, he was having a lot of wins with the Broncos when they were a little bit, successful. And then all of a sudden he's like, you guys only come when my team sucks. You guys only take joy when my team is bad, is when you watch my videos. And he's like, screw you. But I love it. Like, great content creator over there. But sorry, Brandon, we got this one. Maybe we don't get the one in Denver, but I think
we might be resting our starters by then, but who knows?
I think this did answer the question, though, that Bo Nix is definitely worthy of being in the NFL, and I think the Broncos have found their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I was a big Bo Nix hater coming out of college, and I felt as if the first 4 weeks, my hate was justified. And then he turned it around. Now he's balling. So,
and honestly, their wide receivers outside of Sutton are really mid. Like, Lil Jordan Humphrey is like a UDFA from Texas, and then Vele is a UDFA, and it's like those players went off against us. Like, especially Vele. Vele had his best game of his career.
Maybe the secret to beating the Chiefs is just having really unknown receivers play. Because every time we played teams with all their stars, we lock them down. But you get guys like Vele, and last week, and then or the Buccaneers. Sorry, but
with Sterling Shepard.
Yeah,
well, Sterling's been in the league for a while. Sterling Shepard was in the league for a while. He's just washed.
Not wide receiver one names. You know what I mean?
Oh, who was it? It was Miller who caught a touchdown, and I was like, did the Bucs re-sign Scotty Miller? No, it's a different Miller. So I don't even know who that is. I was expecting more Raheem Jarrett, but man. Anyway. That's the key, Garrett. It's have absolute bums. So we're going to absolutely destroy the Bills. Actually, no, because Keon Coleman might miss this game. In fact, I think he is ruled out already now that it's been 2 days of practice.
Yeah.
Let's go right into Bills week, shall we, Garrett?
Yeah, I agree. This one's going to be scary, as we all know. Going into Buffalo, already a hostile environment, and coming off of a close game against an opponent that we may or may not see them again in the playoffs. This is going to be a scary one. The Bills are a really good team. They're really hot right now. Josh Allen's playing out of his mind. If we have a similar game offensively to the Broncos than we do against the Bills, I don't see us winning the game.
Now, I think the Bills' defense is significantly worse than the Broncos' defense. Fun fact. No shot here, but Damar Hamlin is their leading interception getter with 2. Damar Hamlin is also second in tackles. He's having a good season. Surprisingly slept on season considering how much media attention is on this guy. He's having a really good season. But yeah, I mean, they have a lot of guys. They have a lot of DBs that are kind of, guys I've thought of as underrated DBs that they've signed off the street. Taylor Rapp, one of them. I really like Taylor Rapp, but yeah, they lost a lot of talent. Matt Milano is probably going to miss this game. He just got activated off IR, but he probably won't play.
That is huge too, by the way. Matt Milano has been a pain.
Matt Milano's owned us. And I think that's the biggest kicker is they lost their safety tandem in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer that had figured out how to shut down our deep passing game. Even though we haven't had a great deep passing game, I think we can expect Mahomes to take a little bit more shots in this game. I'm expecting him to be pretty pissed off about missing Worthy And we've seen he's capable of doing it because he did the Chargers worthy touchdown. That was a beautiful, beautiful pass. And these safeties, I think they're slower. And I think Mahomes will be able to get a deep bomb.
The only thing is, we are going to have to really play mistake-free football on offense because, as we've seen so far, Buffalo does not turn the ball over.
And they run the ball now.
Yeah, and they run the ball now, right? Josh Allen has been a machine when it comes to passing the ball. He's been very accurate, has not had a lot of turnovers. I think he has, 2 on the year? 2 picks? So
he has 4 now. I don't know what happened recently, but he got up there. But still, 17 passing touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and I don't even know how many rushing touchdowns he has. He probably has
much
at least
much better than Mahomes, 12-9. So
oh god,
it's really
Garrett,
gross.
So
it's gross to hear. I know.
Oh my gosh, Josh Allen is playing better than Mahomes. It'll be interesting to see.
I have a proposition for you, David. I think I've talked to the NFL scriptwriters. This is the perfect scenario. Okay, who gave us Xavier Worthy in the draft?
The Buffalo Bills.
Who is finally going to have their breakout wide receiver game against the Bills?
Xavier
Worthy. I have just a gut feeling this is going to be his first 100-yard game.
Wow. Okay. You know what? We're gonna post this. Hey guys, this is a real
first 100-yard game for Xavier Worthy comes against the team that traded him away.
While Keon Coleman sits on the sideline and watches due to an injury, which is not his fault because Keon Coleman has been balling and have statistically a better season than Worthy. So interesting. You can't write it off yet, Garrett. I like your prediction just because of what I said earlier. The safety tandem for Buffalo, they're slow. They are not fast guys. I think they're talented players, but they are slow. Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp are, not fast.
But realistically, for this defense, is this going to be the first game where the Chiefs really just take the training wheels off and really just put on a lot of points? I could see that.
I think we do have to open up the playbook too. I think you'll see kind of how we're going to perform in the playoffs in this game. I think we're going to pull all the stops. I think we're going to showcase a little bit of what we got. We're going to flex on them a little bit. And here's the other thing, Garrett. I think Buffalo's going to be I think Buffalo has more to lose in this game than KC has to lose in this game. Yeah, you look at how we're 9-0, but I think we're coming in this game a little bit more relaxed, whereas Buffalo, they're 1-2 against teams above 500, and the team that they beat was not above 500 when they beat them in the Cardinals. Well, I mean, obviously, because I think that was a week 1 game, but the Cardinals started off poor. They didn't play the Cardinals of now that have gotten it figured out, that are on a win streak, that are in the lead of the NFC West. They lost to the Texans in a pitiful fashion with absolutely poor game management. And Sean McDermott is from the Andy Reid tree. Andy Reid is in Sean McDermott's head. Sean McDermott has been trying to outcoach Andy Reid for so long. It's been shown time and time again. Everyone's blamed Josh Allen. It might be Sean McDermott who's the reason that this team just doesn't beat the Chiefs.
And I mean, they have all of the pressure going into this game. Every single player in that Bills locker room has this really weighted monkey on their back of, we can't beat the Chiefs.
What?
Look, it's a saying, okay? It's a saying that goes around.
I've never heard that before.
Right? You got to get the monkey off the back, right? They have to go out and beat the Chiefs. And if they don't do it, that's another loss. Like Mahomes has just been dominant whenever he plays the Bills. And that's not to say Josh Allen has played bad when he's played the Chiefs. They've both played lights out in pretty much all of their matchups, right? It's just, it came down to an overtime game against Buffalo one year. Came down to another close one the next year. It's just like Josh Allen must feel like he is cursed playing this team. And I think he's going to think about that again.
I could see them also trying to start the game patient, start the game smart. And this might be a game where Josh Allen starts to finally make mistakes because I think McDermott is going to put him in a situation to make mistakes. Their run game is going to get shut down. I think that's a given. Now, granted, their backs are both good catching out of the backfield, and that does tend to damage the Chiefs a little bit. We saw a lot of what the Buccaneers were doing with that, but the Broncos couldn't really get that going. But you start to shut down their running backs in Ray Davis and James Cook, and then it starts to become a pass-heavy game script, and then maybe mistakes start to happen, and maybe panic starts to set in, because I think we're going to be cautious, methodical, and take some deep shots. So,
I mean,
mean,
I'm in total agreement. I'm I'm worried for this game, but at the same time, I trust the boys to go out there and get the job done.
call me crazy. I was more worried for the Broncos game. Just because it was a divisional game and just because I thought they matched up
And
against us
that
better.
defense is really good.
See, the Bills' defense just isn't that great. And I think if we could score, that's all we really need to do. Because funny to be like the Chiefs' offense is the weaker link of the Chiefs team, but I mean, it might
Now,
be
do you
the
think we
weakest
keep
of
them
all
under
three.
28? Do you think we keep
Yes.
them under 28? Think
Yes,
so?
without a doubt. I think we keep them out with. I think their offense is great. Amari Cooper hasn't really done much this year, and I think Keon Coleman being out is huge. And I think Khalil Shakir is the type of wide receiver that the Chiefs are really good at shutting down, where you have a slot guy, our slot corners. We play safeties in the slot, Garrett. We play Najee Johnson. We play Chamari Connor. We play huge and fast and versatile, like tool guys in the slot. Like Khalil Shakir is going to have a tough time. So, I mean, Dawson Knox will probably go for 100 yards because that's a tight end backup, and Kincaid will go for
And who knows if their
56.
third string tight end just comes out of nowhere. I don't even know who he is, but he'll probably have like a 60-yard game. So
That's a great question. Jackson, can you find out who the Bills' third string tight end is? Because he might get a catch.
while he's getting that, what is your score prediction for the game?
I think it's gonna be close. I mean, it's gonna be one of those games where we kind of feel confident. I've never heard of Quentin Morris. I'm so sorry.
Who?
I had to read that. I
Who
was
is
like,
Quentin Morris.
does he have a catch on this season, Garrett? Or
One reception
he-
for 2 yards and a touchdown. Okay. He's popping off. 60-yard game for Quentin Morris incoming.
we have a Morris, Garrett, who has one catch for a touchdown. It's our left tackle, Wanya Morris. Anyway, for score prediction for this Bills game, I think the Chiefs are definitely going to have, like you said, some explosive plays to Xavier Worthy. But I also think we're going to run the ball a lot. I think it's going to be a classic. I think Chiefs hit 28. And I think Bills hit 24. I think they're not going to really stop us in the red zone. We're finally going to fix the red zone problems. That's going to be my prediction of the game. And we're just going to keep scoring. And they're going to get 24. Our defense holds them under 28. Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. It's just a prediction, I'm tired. That's what I'm going with.
I know. So Jackson, Statman Jackson, he has predicted Chiefs win 24-21 on a walk-off field goal, which
That's pretty good.
Honestly, I could see happening. I could see it being, 21-21 late in the fourth. However, I think my score prediction, I think it'll be 31-28. We're both tied 28-28, and we kick a field goal to win.
Okay, so you stole Jackson's.
So I stole Jackson's, but a little bit higher scoring.
What was your Broncos prediction? How much did you say we were going to put?
We don't need to talk about that. I was feeling something that day. I'm not sure. I think it was like 41 to like 20 or something.
I mean, fair. You equated it to because the Ravens put up a bunch of points on them, which is fair. I mean,
yeah, I was like,
honestly,
if the Ravens can, why can't we? Well, we could not. We could not do that.
I don't know what, dude, what's funny too? Before we end this show, Deontay Johnson, the Ravens did not need to trade for him because Tylan Wallace had a great game before Deontay Johnson had a great game. Maybe Deontay Johnson was the wrong move, and I'm glad we got Hopkins.
Hey, look, that's why they pay Veach the big bucks, okay?
Because out of all the wide receiver trades, I think Hopkins has turned out to be the best one. Maybe Devontae Adams, but we all knew Devontae Adams was going to be a more talented player who's more in his prime anyway.
Yeah.
But even then, Devontae Adams has been force-fed the ball. They have targeted him so many times. So, it's honestly our value, too. I think what did they give up for Adams? Didn't they have to give up, a second-round pick or something?
I think it was either a second or a third and a little bit more, but...
Yeah, and we give up, a fifth. That will be a fourth if we win the Super Bowl.
we will take a fifth for D-Hop every day of the week.
So, honestly, I think we got the best wide receiver trade at the deadline. And Mingo hasn't even played yet, so we can't say that yet, Garrett. Mingo could be a stud.
Put your score predictions in the comments, by the way. We want to know what you guys think.
Yes, we do. Because it's fun, you know? Like, we're
It's
always
a,
wrong.
it's always fun talking chop, and
It is
we
always.
want you guys to be included.
We want you to talk shop. There is a Discord link. We don't really use it. We really use it as like a backstage thing. So if you do join our Discord, we will see it and we will see you. It's the best way to communicate with me. Trying to communicate with me on Instagram is dang near impossible because I'm trying, but there's just a lot of DMs to read, and I don't really like I said, me, Garrett are working full-time jobs right now. So it's kind of hard to see this. This is kind of another job on the side that we do, but we do it because we love you guys. We love the Chiefs. You know, I'm going to be back in Kansas City for Thanksgiving. So that'll be cool. I miss my hometown. Got the Rashee Rice jersey today. We're tired as heck. It's officially 11 o'clock. It's time for bed because we got to do it all again tomorrow. Wish Garrett and his Mustangs some good luck in the playoffs because they've been kicking
Always,
it.
baby. Always.
And
We're just talking chop, baby.
We're just talking chop, Garrett. See you next week.